morning, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and today, this very day, Christmas Eve, 2018, we are going to review Josh Kirby Time Warrior, the Human Pets. Okay, so what questions do I have for this particular video? Why did the guard give Azabeth her old clothes back? And where's the blacksmith? The campfire didn't ignite Josh's clothing. Okay, he's learning how to use a sword, and he stumbles around this fire, and his clothes don't get singed, or they don't ignite, they don't catch on fire. Really? Okay. And William actually reveals to everyone in the camp exactly where the secret entrance is. Really? And no one was keeping an eye on Jennifer at all. Really? Now the guards were knocked out by the one guy slamming their heads together. Really? And the chickens didn't notice the newcomers? You've got to be joking me. And no guards on the castle wall? And Josh doesn't have a scabbard. He's carrying a sword without a scabbard. I'm surprised he didn't stab himself. And Josh just grabs the slingshot from the blacksmith. Why didn't you just ask the blacksmith, hey, can you give me the slingshot? I'm sure the blacksmith would have done that immediately. Okay. Okay, we have the executioner. Okay, think about this. We have the executioner, and Josh is able to successfully hit the executioner in the head with a pebble from his slingshot. And the executioner missed Azabeth because of it? What's the chances of that? Right. Okay, the guard is touched on his shoulder, and he doesn't immediately spin around to see what the heck's going on? Right. Right. Now, the next thing I got to tell you is that when they filmed all 6 of these Josh Kirby movies, they actually filmed the Human Pets before Planet of the Dino Knights, and that's why there are a few inconsistencies in Planet of the Dino Knights and in the Human Pets. So we're going to kind of ignore that because we now know the order that these things were originally filmed in. And it did screw up the story just a little bit. So we're going to ignore those particular screws because we now know what really happened. Okay? Now, how did Dr. Zoetrope train the dinosaur? What book was Dr. Zoetrope reading? He was asleep, and all of a sudden he's woken up by all this noise. What book was he reading? Oh, and what was in the jug that knocked out Dr. Zoetrope? That jug was not that heavy. He might have had a little bump on his head, but he would have been completely knocked out just because the jug hit his head. There had to have been something big time in that jug. Okay? And why didn't Dr. Zoetrope just simply reinsert the mind plug into Prism? He could have taken it out later. No problem. And how did the guard know about the rope? I'd like to know that. Josh's stopwatch wasn't damaged during the battle. Now remember, they went to see these futuristic humans, and Josh takes his stopwatch and throws it at the French guy and hits him in the head, but the stopwatch wasn't damaged in any way? Really? Oh, of course, there was also another point where Josh was sword dueling with another guy, and it's like, you're telling me that the stopwatch wasn't damaged at all? And what happened to Lord Henry? He fell off. He fell off the castle wall. I'd like to know. Alright. Prism can float. We're never told this originally. And how did destroying Josh's CDL bracelet throw Josh and all of his friends, that's Irwin and Azabeth and Prism, how did they throw them into this future world to begin with? and Josh suddenly has a new CDL bracelet. Now, that was probably due to the fact that the human pets were actually videotaped before Planet of the Dino Knights. Okay, so that's probably where that came from. Oh, and these pistols have unlimited ammo. I'd like to know that one. Of course, after a while, you see that they don't have such unlimited ammo, but it's like, man, that's a lot of shots for pistols. Okay? And how did these guys understand what this kid was actually saying, this futuristic kid? How did they understand what the futuristic kid was saying? And when this futuristic kid picked up the Neanderthal and threw him, the Neanderthal didn't suffer any life-threatening injuries? Really? And again, Josh's stopwatch isn't broke. Okay, how does the German pilot know how to speak English? I'd like to know that. And the kid didn't hear the glass break. Remember, Irwin took his power staff and cut out that one piece of glass? How come the kid didn't hear the glass break? Really? And why didn't Prism just float everybody to the top? And Josh actually tied the rope to the back end of the airplane? Really? And why did all of these people have to climb the rope all at once? Couldn't they go one at a time? If Josh is below and Irwin is above Josh, how did Irwin eliminate the spider? I'd like to know that. And how did Irwin and all those other people get Zoetrope on top of the time pod? I'd like to know that. Wouldn't the weight of the cowboy change the weight of the airplane? I mean, they would have a real tough time steering the airplane with extra weight on one wing. I'd like to know that. And why does Irwin have so many CDL bracelets when he was the only one that's going to be in the time pod? Prism joins Dr. Zoetrope. Prism joins Dr. Zoetrope briefly, but then he goes back to the time pod? Really? And Azabeth's weapon wasn't sucked out of the time pod. Right. And how did Josh fall out of the time pod? I'd like to know that as well. Alright, if you happen to have the answers to any and all these questions, go ahead and leave them down here in the comments below. And I thank you for watching this morning. And I will tell you more in a future video, so I'd like for you to stay tuned.